I'm Chris Trott with Team TaylorMade. Today we're going to talk about the brand new high toe 4 wedge, all its offerings and what you look for as a player to get this into your bag. Some of the tech initially with this you're going to notice straight away when you look down from the player's view. It is a unique shape. It's going to have the high toe. That's where it gets its name from. And the full face score lines. Now that's important, especially as we work and we play different golf shots. Quite often we'll leverage as players the toe area of the golf club. So to have full face score lines helps you grab and get spin out of these scoring golf clubs. When you take off the sticker to your brand new high toe 4, you're going to reveal the raw face. A raw face means there's nothing between you and the golf ball. So when you strike down on that TP5 or TP5X, you're going to get the most performance out of the grooves and out of the interaction between you and the club. The high toe weight pad up here is going to help control the flight, which for our first golf shot is going to be pretty important because I've got a ridge that runs through the middle of the green. I've got about 60 yards to the flag back there. I have in my hand two of the grinds on offer, the ATV and the ATS. I'm going to start with the ATS, which is one of my personal favorites, but it's for good reason in this scenario. You'll notice when I take a divot for this golf shot, the grass will grab a little bit. The ATS is going to bring this club out of the ground for me because it has camber on the bounce here that goes away in every single angle. So leading edge has a slight bit of camber, heel has camber and toe has camber. So it's a four-way relief camber if you include the back edge as well. You have the milled grind sole on there. So the great part is if I wear this wedge out and like it that much like the tour players, I can just get a brand new one of these and it'll be identical to the former version. Leading edge has a score line on there to help you with alignment. I've got 60 degrees here for this golf shot. I'm going to open it up slightly and then try and drive it in. And you can notice from those initial brushes of the divot, that's where you get your feel for how the bounce is going to help you out. So let's just define bounce a bit before we hit this first golf shot. Bounce is going to be what the ground gives back to you and the wedge gives back to you as I strike it. So 1, 2, and now you can really see that this wedge is moving through that turf. And that's why I'm a big fan of the first grind that we're going to look at. And this would be where I suggest you test it on this 60-yard golf shot, and that's the ATS. See if I can give you a good example of how the wedge just moves through. Get a feel for it again. This should spin, being brand new on the grooves. It actually came back to me. That is one of the amazing things about the raw face that you get. Now that was a perfect strike. We will demonstrate some others where I leverage different strike points, but notice it was ball first, ball turf we call it. Wedge went in and wedge came out, and there's a reason I am a big fan of it, and it's for that reason. If we look at the sole, you can see the slight discoloration in the middle of the bounce. Next up, I'm going to grab ATV. Again, look at the discoloration we've got. This V, this asymmetrical sole. I rub my fingernail from the front through to the middle part, and it actually concaves and dips down just a little bit. So for a shot like this, where the ground is quiet and the rough and the fairway around this golf course can be a little bit grabby due to the heat at which the grass is growing, this second part of the bounce, it's almost having a second leading edge, will ensure, if I don't quite strike it as pure as that first one, that the club will get through the turf. So I might try and play one a little bit lower for you here, get a bit more aggressive, and see if we can maybe catch a little bit more turf as I've gone steeper on it to get this golf ball to shoot a bit more, but use the second part. You can hear the sound. See that? Just going through. Look at the debris that comes out with this aggressive asymmetrical sole. So ball a bit further back for you. Played it a bit deeper. Just across the back of the green, but I wanted to get a little bit firmer in my turf, and you can see here the difference in the divots. By going slightly stronger, it was a good strike, a bit more speed, but the second part of the bounce helped that divot come out and the club come out. So as a demonstration, that's a good start point to the ATV and the ATS. Let's get into some other bounces and some other cambers and look at what you can take from that as a player before you make your decision on your high toe 4. Two brand new grind options to the high toe 4 family. It's the ATC and the ATX. I'm going to start with the C grind, but both of these options could be used in this scenario. And this is where you're going to test them. This is where you're going to learn before you make your choice. Notice as I swing the golf club through, and a lot of the tour players that we work with to get feedback, they talk about looking at the lie. And you can see here, due to the heat, due to the grain, that wants to grab. But I'm also slightly open with my hand position, and I'm using the back part of the bounce. You can see in this C grind how we've discolored the back part of the bounce here. Let's talk a little bit about C. It has heel relief and toe relief. So for a golf shot like this that might require a flop shot or it requires some heel relief, this is a good option. ATC, as I mentioned, is our lowest bounce offering in the high toe 4. It's something that you're going to want here for this scenario. As I play the flop shot, I would lower the shaft for this golf shot. Now, it might not be what you'd take on given that there's water behind the flag, but you can notice how tight and close that gets to the golf ball as a result of all of this C grind heel relief that comes in here. Now, a more traditional shot, or something that I would look to play, or most golfers looking to play this area would be to get the club a little bit more vertical and have the toe section slide underneath. Full face score lines now are going to be your friend. Also, getting in there nice and tight with the toe and just cutting across to play as soft as you can. Now, you'll notice when I play this, the turf interaction is there, but listen to the sound, it just glides through. So soft through the turf, runs down, you'd be very happy with that one. Maybe not completely caught totally clean, but that's a great example of the ATC and how there was no resistance through there. It just went through, left a slight drag of the turf, and then gave me that result. Now let's look at the ATX, because it's another wedge that you would consider for this type of golf shot. ATX, to me, reminds me of the Tiger grind. We've got 3 different distinct bounces as we look down here. The leading edge ski, the middle part, and then the back part of the bounce. Now, from talking to Tiger about wedges, I know that where you set the shaft lean is very important for the shot you play and the bounce you use. So, for example, if you want to set the hands forward and drive the golf ball out, which wouldn't be for our tight golf shot here, but set the handle forward, rotate and drive, that's using the front part of the bounce. Again, you can see how, look at that, into the turf, straight through, good result. But I committed to my hand position. For the second type and the second learning on this, if you go middle, well, of course, now you use the mid part of the bounce. This is going to be a higher golf shot. And you can see how that one more brushes the turf, great, goes through. Then as I come into the same shot we've just played here with the ATC, well now, for you guys, handle back. We want to use the back part of the bounce, get the handle back a bit more playful with it. Handle back, handle back. That's a good strike. That one grabs and rolls down to the hole. Great result, but look at this. For both of these wedges, this is where the learnings are, okay? If I circle that, and you can see as I circle it, we're now moving the grain. This is where these 2 bounces play into your hands when it comes to testing. Get into this, learn about grass types, learn about shaft lean, and the ATC and the ATX are going to be one of your best sources to go to. It doesn't matter if you play in the warm stuff where there's grain or if you're on firm links courses. This is what gives you the telling signs as to which bounce you should choose. ATV on the high toe 4 brings me to here, into the rough. I also like this bounce and this camber for the sense that the second part, the second after the concave, is going to help you when the ball is sitting up a bit and you don't know where the roots are. Another great feature that cannot be overlooked when it comes to the high toe. If I just pop one out there, I want you to take a look now, and that is fantastic as an illustration. I can't control particularly, because I don't know in the lie, that caught right up on the top of the high toe, but I can't control which part of this wedge hits this if I go for a flop shot like that. So by having full face grooves, you get no power out of that, no energy out of the top. That can give you that result. Now, if you want a more predictable shot, get a bit closer to it, put a bit more energy into it. But you can see here, that was hit now center face. But I'm trying to explain to you guys out there that full face score lines, big mass up here, and a secondary part of this ATV bounce as you get into stuff where we don't know, just look at that wedge, we don't know where that's really sat on top, or you could be unlucky and it could go down in there. So you have a bounce and a wedge that can work whether the ball is sat high on top and you can pop one out, or whether you need to get down into it and just play it like that. That's how versatile this is when it comes to strike points and it comes to different lies as you get into the rough. The bunkers can be intimidating for a lot of players. People don't generally like, on a higher handicap, to open the blade. Look at what happens when you open the blade. You reveal all that bounce. This bounce is the highest bounce on offer in the high toe 4. It's the ATW, W being for wide. So if you tend to struggle out the traps and you're not one who likes to open the blade, this bounce will help you in this area. Notice how it goes through so easily. We're going to have that sole make a pocket under the golf ball. Normal setup for any bunker shot, slightly open, weight on the left side. Now, that wasn't my cleanest of bunker shots, but based on how wide the sole is, and you can see I used all the middle part of that bounce, it gave me a huge pocket to go underneath the golf ball and get the result I want. So if you imagine that you maybe don't have the confidence out of the bunkers, then this is certainly something that's going to help you. We've also seen it used by elite players when the sand gets very heavy. Perhaps you're in an Open Championship type venue, a links course in the UK, and the sand gets very heavy. This large, wide sole is going to help you. I also have here with me the ATV, which is one of my personal favorites out of the bunker. Again, back to getting into that secondary part of the camber in the asymmetrical bounce. It's going to help me here as I open the blade up and then reveal that concave just to make the pocket. Now it doesn't sit so high. I don't have to go as deep. ATV is revealed and I can play an aggressive trap shot just off the left. Spins down, uses the full face grooves and leverages the slope. Generally in bunkers, it's about how you control the low point, but it's also how you interact with the bounce that you choose on the sole of your high toe wedge. There's a lot to take in here. You can learn more if you go to TaylorMadeGolf.com, where it has everything in detail about the bounce offerings on high toe 4 and anything you need to know about this wedge. It's a fantastic club to help you in a lot of different areas. Be sure to dive into it at TaylorMadeGolf.com.